York City 2012. At the Avengers Tower, the Avengers minus the Hulk, tail Loki, and the Tesseract down the elevator to the lobby. The future Ant-Man and Tony Stark try to steal the Tesseract, and it ends up knocked over by Loki. Loki grabs it and teleports away. In the Gobi Desert, Loki falls into the sand after teleporting. Local tribesmen approach him, and Loki stands on a rock and introduces himself. Suddenly, three-time Variance Authority, TVA, police, known as Minutemen, arrive through a portal. They find the Tesseract, and Loki warns them not to touch it. Another officer, Hunter B-15, arrives and identifies Loki as a variant. B-15 arrests Loki on behalf of the TVA for messing with the sacred timeline. He isn't happy, and he warns them that this is their final chance. B-15 hits him in the mouth with her baton, making him move very slowly, and then puts a collar on him. Loki falls down, and the officers lift him up while B-15 instructs the other officer to reset the timeline. While the other officer sets up a reset charge and activates it, B-15 grabs the Tesseract and brings Loki to the TVA base. Loki attempts to escape, but B-15 uses a remote to make the collar reset him to where he was. He tries to run again, and B-15 brings him back once more. B-15, the person in charge, asks Casey, a worker, to put the Tesseract as evidence. Loki warns Casey to handle the Tesseract carefully. B-15 takes Loki away and puts him in a cell with a robot. The robot destroys Loki's Asgardian clothes, and he falls through a trapdoor into an office below. Now, Loki is wearing a plain gray prison outfit. A clerk at a desk gives him a bunch of papers and asks him to confirm if they include everything he has ever said. Loki signs some papers and then goes through another trapdoor. A clerk asks him to confirm that he's a living person with a soul. After Loki confirms, the clerk instructs him to walk through an archway that checks if he's a robot by melting him from the inside. The archway takes a picture of Loki's energy, and a guard tells him to grab a ticket. There's another person who got there at the same time as Loki, and Loki takes a ticket as told by the guard. As Loki goes through some barriers, a talking cartoon character named Miss Minutes appears and says he's at the TVA. She needs to fill him in before he gets in trouble for his mistakes. Miss Minutes explains that there used to be a big war with lots of timelines fighting against each other. Then 3 timekeepers fixed everything and made just one timeline, the important one called the sacred timeline. The timekeepers make sure time goes the right way for everyone. But troublemakers like Loki, called variants, mess things up. When they do, it could start another big war with lots of timelines. The timekeepers made the TVA to fix problems caused by time changes. When someone messes up the timeline, they have to go to court and answer for what they did because they don't fit into the right timeline anymore. The second prisoner objects, and a guard punishes him by making him disappear because he doesn't have the required ticket. Loki, on the other hand, promptly shows his ticket. In a church in Aix-en-Provence, France, in 1549, a person named TVA agent Mobius is looking at some dead Minutemen. Another Minuteman tells Mobius that when they came to check a situation called a Nexus event, someone attacked and killed them. Mobius sees that the stab wounds are like the ones on other dead Minutemen, and the reset charge is missing. One of the Minutemen mentions that this is the 6th attack in the past week, and a young local boy enters the scene. Mobius walks up to the boy and asks if he saw who hurt the Minutemen. The boy points to a painted window nearby that shows the devil. Mobius says that the devil is scared of them and promises to take the boy back to where he belongs. The boy smiles, showing blue-stained teeth. Mobius wonders what caused it, and the boy pulls out a stick of blue gum, revealing that the devil gave it to him. The Minuteman tells Mobius that the timeline is in danger and they need to leave. Mobius sends the boy outside, and while the Minutemen prepare to reset, a clerk appears and shows Mobius a file about Loki, saying Mobius will be interested in it. B-15 takes Loki to court, and Judge Ravana Renslayer accuses him of breaking a lot of time rules. Loki argues that gods don't beg and points out that the Avengers are the real time travelers. Then, Mobius enters and sits down. Loki suggests that Ravana should let him form a team to catch the Avengers, but she insists that what the Avengers did was meant to happen, and Loki escaping wasn't part of the plan according to the timekeepers. Loki wants to chat with the timekeepers, but Ravana says they're busy managing time. When he tries to teleport, Loki realizes his powers don't work. Ravana says magic doesn't work there, declares him guilty, and decides to reset him. As Minutemen are taking Loki away, Mobius walks up to the bench. Ravana tells Mobius that his idea is not good, and if anything goes wrong, it's his responsibility. Mobius leads Loki to his office through a balcony with a great view of the TVA base. They then go down in an elevator, and Mobius introduces himself. Mobius says he wants to take Loki to a place where they can have a chat, knowing that Loki enjoys talking. A guard gives Mobius a stick, and Mobius takes Loki to his office. Loki tries to attack Mobius, but Mobius uses a remote to send him back to where he was. Mobius makes Loki sit down and says he's good at chasing after dangerous guys, but Loki isn't one of them. If Loki tells the truth when answering questions, Mobius might help him get what he wants. Starting with his initial questions, Mobius asks Loki what he plans to do if he goes back. Loki responds that he wants to take back his throne, and Mobius is curious why someone with so many abilities only wants to be in charge. Mobius then shows Loki a video of some of his notable actions, pointing out that despite being born to rule, Loki often faces defeats. Mobius suggests that losing might be a part of Loki's nature. When Loki mentions killing Coulson, Mobius reminds him that the Avengers came together to avenge Coulson's death caused by Loki. Mobius questions if Loki enjoys causing harm, but Loki insists that he sees himself as a liberator. The person claims that Loki is skilled at doing bad things and escaping without getting caught. They show a video of Loki pretending to be someone named Mr. Cooper on a plane, stealing money, and jumping out. Loki, upset with the talk, tries to leave, but Mobius rewinds time to bring him back to his seat. Loki wants to know what Mobius wants. Mobius replies that he just wants Loki to be truthful about why he does things. Loki isn't impressed and claims that the Time Variance Authority, TVA, is fake and only scares weak people. He insists that his actions are his own choices. Mobius shows Loki a video of him controlling a crowd in Berlin. Loki says that if he gains ultimate power, it will be because of his actions, not because it was meant to happen or because the TVA permitted it. He brushes off the TVA as unimportant in his rise to power. Mobius says if Loki didn't get the Tesseract, he'd end up in an Asgard cell. The TVA can predict Loki's future, showing Frigga confronting him, and Loki sending dark elves to harm her. Loki denies it, but Mobius says it's how time goes. Mobius asks if Loki likes hurting people, and in anger, Loki throws his chair at him. Mobius sent Loki back to his seat, but the chair was missing, so Loki fell. Mobius then explained to Loki that his purpose is to cause pain and suffering for the greater good, helping others become better. After helping Loki up, B-15 questioned Mobius about his actions, and they were informed of a situation. Loki was told to stay put while the agents left. Outside, B-15 warned Mobius about the risks of talking to the variant. They discussed the loss of another Minuteman unit. When Mobius returned, he found that Loki had escaped and taken the time rewinder remote. Loki went back to where he started and saw Casey moving a cart. Now, Mobius, B-15, and a group of Minutemen are searching for Loki. Loki quietly enters Casey's office, grabs the worker, and makes him sit down. Loki asks Casey for the Tesseract, and Casey, without hesitation, opens his desk drawer and hands it over. Surprisingly, there are many powerful stones in the drawer too. Casey explains that they often find these stones, and some workers use them as paperweights. Loki is amazed and starts to think if the TVA is the most powerful force in the universe. Just then, B-15 arrives, and Loki uses his magical abilities to escape. B-15 and her team continue searching for Loki. Loki then uses his time-traveling powers to go back to different points in his life. He watches key moments, such as his mother's death, his encounters with Odin and Thor, and their eventual alliance. Finally, he watches the moment when Thanos kills him. The movie ends, and Loki laughs. B-15 walks in and asks why he's laughing. Loki attacks her, but she easily grabs his arm. Loki uses a device to take off her collar and puts it on her. He keeps rewinding her so she can't touch him. Finally, Loki rewinds her out of the room. Casey tells 2 Minutemen about his Loki encounter. B-15 shows up, looking upset, and walks away. Mobius goes back to his office and tells Loki that there's nowhere left for him to escape. Loki realizes he can't return to his own timeline. He mentions that he doesn't like hurting people but does it because he feels he has to. It's a desperate attempt to control things. Mobius believes Loki understands himself and doesn't see him as a villain. Loki realizes the Tesseract is useless in the TVA, and Mobius offers him something better than salvation. He explains that a variant, someone causing trouble, is killing their Minutemen, and he needs Loki's help to stop this variant. To Loki's surprise, Mobius reveals that the variant they're hunting is another version of Loki. In Salina, Oklahoma, in 1858, a group of Minutemen appears in a field. They find a sword stuck in the ground, which is out of place in time. Confirming it as an anomaly, they set a reset charge to fix the timeline. They spot the hooded variant a few hundred feet away. The variant drops a lamp, igniting the oil on the ground. The Minutemen are set on fire and die, and the variant grabs the reset charge. Thank you for watching. Please do like, share, and subscribe the channel for more such interesting content.